Toronto condos have a problem, but I don't think the problem is what most people think. I don't think Toronto's dying. I don't think nobody wants condos. And I don't think the market is collapsing. I think Toronto condos have a confidence problem because right now everyone's waiting. Buyers, investors, and developers are waiting. So let's talk about what's actually happening. And if you're newer here, my name is Keith Uraj, realtor in the Greater Toronto Area, and every week I break down what's really happening in the Toronto real estate market. Let's start with the resale market. So according to TRREB, condo apartment sales in the first quarter of 2026 were down 11.3% compared to the same time last year. Now, at the same time, the average price fell 9.1%, with the average condo apartment selling for just over $618,000. And to be honest, I'm negotiating a deal right now under $400K for a condo in North York. Seems like we're getting there. Now, these numbers are important, but I think what matters more is what it tells us about the psychology. Because a 9% decline in prices doesn't mean that Toronto condos are broken. It tells us that buyers aren't acting with urgency, especially coming off the market that we had not long ago. We all know about the FOMO market. And today it's the opposite. People fear buying too soon. And that shift in psychology changes everything. Not a psychologist. Now let's look at TRREB's 2026 market outlook. And they specifically noted here that elevated inventory levels are giving buyers substantial negotiating power, particularly in the condominium apartment segment. Yeah, and honestly, we're seeing that every day. Conditions are back, negotiations are back, price changes are back, and buyers have become far more selective. I mean, if I'm an active buyer, I would be leveraging all of this because it's nice to see all the things matter. They're coming up in conversation more. People aren't racing against time. Maintenance fees matter. Parking spot matters. Locker matters. Natural light matters. Layout matters. Building reputation matters. Property management matters. Nobody has to settle anymore. And that's creating a much tougher environment for average units, not bad units. That's a whole different scenario, but average units are even having a tougher time to sell right now. What do I consider an average unit? Not in the building with the best reputation or property management. Maybe the maintenance fees are a little bit higher than its competition. The layout's a little tough to work with and not the best view. Now, if you combine all of those with being poorly presented and not staged or marketed well on the market. Anyway, the next issue is rent. It's not helping investors right now. And according to TRREB's Q1 rental report, the average one-bedroom apartment fell 4.1% year over year to $2,246. Two-bedroom units fell 3.2%. Now, as an investor, and if you combine softer rents with higher borrowing costs, suddenly the math looks different. Because for years, appreciation and price did all the heavy lifting. But with both rent and prices down, investors have to rely on more fundamentals. It's probably uncomfortable for people who got used to easy money. And let's jump into pre-construction. Because if the resale market is telling us that buyers are cautious, then the pre-construction market is telling us something even bigger. Because developers are cautious too. I'm going to pull a stat here that's not just Toronto based. I just thought it was really interesting and I think you guys would find it interesting too. It's actually from Urbanization and it's talking about the Greater Toronto Hamilton area. So check this. According to Urbanization, new condominium sales in that area in the first quarter of 2026 were down 52% from a year earlier and sat at 94% below the 10-year average. Think about that for a second. Not 20% below normal, not 50% below normal, 94% below normal. And for the first time in at least 3 decades, not a single condo project was launched in the quarter. 0. So why does that matter? Because developers are effectively voting with their wallets. They're saying, well, wait. And developers don't stop launching projects because they suddenly stop believing in the areas that they're launching them in. They stop launching their projects because buyers are not buying, which means that the people that are building housing are waiting too. When buyers are waiting and investors are waiting and developers are waiting, markets freeze. So here's the irony behind all of this. The same thing that's creating a problem today could create a problem even 5 years from now. Because when developers stop building, future supply dips. Because Toronto isn't disappearing, people are still moving here and people still need places to live. And eventually demand catches up. And I think that's being overlooked right now because today's lack of buyer confidence could be tomorrow's supply problem. So this brings us into the question that everybody's asking. People want to know, are Toronto condos a good investment? But I don't think that's the right question because Toronto condos, it's not one thing. There are great condos, there are average condos. There are some condos that only looked good at one time because the market was strong. And for years, almost everything worked. Good condos worked, average condos worked, even bad condos worked. Mistakes were covered up. Cheap money and rapid appreciation covered up all the mistakes and all the corners that were cut. But markets don't stay that way forever, and I think that's healthy. I think the charm is back. Quality matters again. Like I said earlier, layouts matter, maintenance fees matter, natural light matters, the building reputation matters, the level of service at concierge matters, property management matters. I could go on all day. So yeah, I don't think every condo is going to be performing the same over the next decade. Frankly, I don't think they should. Healthy markets reward better decisions. And I think that's exactly where we are returning to. So yes, ultimately, I'd rather be buying today than in 2021. And that's not because we've hit the rock bottom of the market. We actually don't know where the rock bottom is. Our economy is volatile. Our cost of living is as such. Things change direction quickly. And I think people spend far too much time trying to predict something that they cannot predict. Because I'm not sure if we all forgot, there were many high up economists telling us that interest rates were going to stay low for a very long period of time, which were then followed by 9 interest rate hikes consecutively. But anyway, the 3 main things that buyers have now that they didn't have then is leverage, choice, and time. Genuinely, I love when my buyers are happy with what they've purchased. Now, I'm a realtor. I'm a sales representative. I am paid a commission by helping people transact in real estate. But as a business owner, and what I do is more guidance, more advisory. When and why not to buy something, which is cool because a lot of my buyers that I'm working with today are buyers that approached me in 2021 when prices were much higher, and they've got tons more opportunity now, which is cool because buying feels like a thoughtful decision again, not a race. Anyway, so what's my biggest concern? My biggest concern isn't that Toronto condos are going away, or that the city is somehow finished. World Cup's going on right now. My biggest concern is that expectations haven't adjusted fully. I still talk to some owners that are expecting the 2021-2022 price because they did some renos, or their unit is unique, or they've got 2 parking spots. No. Some investors still expect easy appreciation, and some buyers are waiting for the crash. And I think all 3 groups are likely to be disappointed because the reality is somewhere in the middle. I don't think Toronto condos are doomed. I don't think we're going back to the 2021 frenzy. I think we're going back to a more balanced and rational market. And honestly, that's probably what a healthy market should look like. So yes, Toronto condos have a problem, but the problem isn't demand. The problem is confidence, and confidence eventually changes. And that said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Toronto condos are in trouble? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Or do you think this is just a reset of years of unrealistic expectations? Again, if you found this video helpful, I'd love it if you would like and subscribe, as we've got new stuff coming for you every week. And if you are thinking about buying, selling, or investing anywhere in the Toronto or Durham region area, feel free to reach out. More than happy to help. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.